Hey, well, my son's done walking around half naked, so I guess we can stream now. um, let's see, got a bunch of stuff to go through. I'm going to be making classic Halifax Donair. I've made this several times. It's delicious. It's something my husband from Prince Edward Island grew up with that I had when I visited there, and it's worth doing at home. You, with same method, different spices, can make gyro at home. And we did this on the regular. I'll also be making the sauce that goes with it. And I'm also going to be making pickled red onions. That's not traditionally on it. Normally they just put like some lettuce and sweet onion on it. But it was an idea I had a couple batches ago that we really liked it, so I'm going to keep doing it. So, let's see. Do I do this before I get started, or I'll chop the onion while I talk about it? Okay. I want to thank my anonymous benefactor. Last time, about, I don't know, a couple hours after Connor and I did our stream with the burritos. You can go back and see that on YouTube if you'd like. Oh, I'd like to also apologize for my sound today. I'm sorry if it's difficult to hear me and you have to turn it up, but I got a new lav mic, but it's charging. So I don't have that set up yet, and I really need to get this going because it's almost 3 in the afternoon here, and the onions need a little time. I used to let the Donair sit overnight before cooking it, but you don't have to do that. There's enough oil and everything going on with the cooking that the spices hydrate fine. But it does take 90 minutes, and then you want to cool it down a bit before slicing it. So I need to get this going because it's our dinner. So the camera is my mic today. Anywho, I want to thank my anonymous benefactor who bought 3 things, 3 from my throne wish list. That's like super exciting. Hello, Stormy. And I've already received 2 of them. I got maple sugar. Whoops. Hold on. Try to trigger my throne list here. Which I use for curing bacon, and you know, I can use it for other things too. And I was out after I made the last bacon. Things are randomly capitalizing while I'm trying to type in chat, so pardon my awkwardness here. I don't know if you can see my spice cupboard is open right now because I had to get a bunch of things out of it. I have just a few herbs and spices in my house. But whoever it was, got me that and a new thermometer. I had broken my candy thermometer. This one is good for deep frying and candy, and it's like metal encased and a clip on the pot and stuff, so it's not going to be as prone to breakage as the old-fashioned style one I had that I forgot a compost bowl was basically like a glass tube with a thermometer inside that shattered in my kitchen last week. So I'm going to have this just to make it easy to slice nice and thin. So I'm going to take off this ready looking outer piece here. Because we got pretty onions, right? Pretty onions. Pickled onions, these are, it only takes like, it's a refrigerator pickle, it takes maybe half an hour for your liquid to cool down, and then you put it in the fridge and it lasts for, a week or 2. And they're good on so many things. I like it on the Donair. It's a nice added element because the Donair sauce, like the meat is very herby and spicy, and then the sauce is super sweet. It's made with sweetened condensed milk, and that's why it occurred to me like something pickled, and you normally put onions on the sandwich, would be great with it. So I can basically do a whole red onion in this jar. So I'll get the liquid going while, oops, I slice the other half of that in. So let's turn this on. So we're going to boil this. Make a half a cup of apple cider vinegar. And I think I really need new glasses. Oh, I'm going to need water, which I didn't get, aren't I? Well, yeah, I need a cup of water. Maybe Rob isn't too busy. We'll see in a minute. Because I hate to walk around. I'm excited about the lav mic working because then I'll be a tablespoon of sugar, be able to walk around in and out of the kitchen and still be heard. Not sure why the sugar just spilled all over. Salt. Teaspoon and a half, which is a half tablespoon, but I don't have that measure handy. I'm gonna, again, does not need to be super precise in this. You want it fairly close. And the onion, so that's it. I'm gonna get a cup of water. You want like half cup of vinegar, and you can use white. I like apple cider for this. And 1 cup of water. And that's a proportion. If you watched Kim Johnson's video on her pickled jalapenos, that's a kind of standard proportion. Like half vinegar of the amount of sugar, or half the amount of vinegar as the amount of water. I'm almost certain that's the same proportion she uses to pickle her jalapenos. We're going to bring this to a boil and then pour it in the jar after we get all these onions in. Yeah. Messy today. It's not going to kill me. I have a little extra sugar in the jar. So if you are not in my Discord yet, anyone out there, there's I think like 10 or 11 hours left on the giveaway. I'm doing the first cookbook giveaway. I was going to wait around for more subscribers because with the Scott Johnson promoting the stream the other day, I did have more follows show up. We had someone new show up to the stream this weekend who specifically told me from there. I went from something like, I think it was under 170, I could be wrong, somewhere around 170 followers from, I don't know, 10 years ago I started this Twitch channel. When I started the cooking stream, and we're up over 190 now, and then I got 3 throne gifts, and I was like, I want to celebrate this. I want to give something back to you guys. Christmas is coming. If when this contest ends, I should go to the post office tomorrow and send it out tomorrow. And even with media mail, it's really likely I can get you this cookbook for Christmas. And, you know, whether it's for yourself or if you could gift it to someone, there's a lot of books to choose from. After the stream today, I'm hoping to finish the spreadsheet because I actually have probably another 40 books or something, 30, I don't know, that aren't in the spreadsheet yet, and some are really good, like the Moosewood cookbook, which I used to own years ago. I think I gave it to a friend when they became a vegetarian because I didn't really need it, and I know that one's in there, so I want to get the rest of your choices into the spreadsheet. My biggest problem is going to be um, finding the book when somebody picks it, because I didn't I just did them all, and I can kind of look at when I put them in the spreadsheet and try to figure out which box they're in, but it's boxes and boxes of cookbooks. So even though I can sort them by the categories in the spreadsheet, I didn't put what box they were in. I should probably go back and give them all that tag and then label my boxes. So there we go. I'll solve it, but it's not solved yet. Okay, so we're just going to wait for this to boil, and I'll get started on the Donair. Or do I do the sauce first? I'm going to do the sauce first because it also needs to sit. Not for as long. You can make this like a half hour ahead. So, can of sweetened condensed milk. And I gotta wipe this off. Always wipe your can opener. Don't let stuff grow on it. I'm actually gonna have to rinse that off because a lot of it came up onto the real icky sticky. This is the sweetest stuff. And this is like 3 ingredients. It's sweetened condensed milk, garlic powder, and white vinegar. And that's it. Sometimes we throw some dill in because we like dill, but doesn't really need it. And dill, I don't know, it's more classic to go with something like gyro when you're making a tzatziki. But it's not the worst idea. Oh, why does this? Hold on. Chat's doing weird stuff. I have some kind of badges. And all these notifications about these gifts that were bought that I didn't see before now. I just got emails about it, and I was like, ooh, that's exciting. So I'm looking for the amount of vinegar I'm putting in here. 1/4 cup. And that doesn't really, not going to be screwed up by already having some cider vinegar by any means. In Halifax, in Prince Edward Island, in whatever other maritime places where they have Donair and you can get this sauce, a lot of times it's made by like a pizza place, and people put dinner sauce on their pizza. It says 1/2 teaspoon. I'm definitely doing more than that. We like it garlicky. We're kind of a no such thing as too much garlic household. As you can tell by the giant containers of garlic butter I buy. But I do that with a lot of things. Paprika, pepper, onion powder. All the ingredients, most of the ingredients for Emerald's Creole seasoning, the BAM that I make homemade, I tend to buy those in big containers because it takes several tablespoons a batch of each thing, and a lot of times I gift it. My son likes to keep the baby BAM version in the house because he can't tolerate cayenne anymore. And my friend Jessica got hooked on it, and I think my sister just isn't accustomed to just keeping it around, and so I just make batches, and there are people I regularly send it to. So that's about that. Probably easier to put it in a bowl and whisk it around. Just want to make sure the garlic powder incorporated. And that's that, and our let that hydrate. This is about to boil, and then I'll pour that in there, and let me grab the bowl to start the Donair. I'm going to move my burner too as soon as I can. You guys don't need to see that, do you? Don't be like me. I wouldn't recommend doing that to anybody. But I'm using my KitchenAid today for the Donair. Okay, this is boiling. Make sure everything dissolved. Turn that off. I love that my handles don't get hot. These are my pretty beat up, but my Wolfgang pots I've had for, I don't even know, maybe 30 years. So that should be right about the pound cover. Half pint jar. Is that a pint? That's a pint jar. And I want to put a little bit of a lip on this. It doesn't need quite that much. So I have just a standard reusable ball jar lid that I put on for after I open things that were canned, so that you don't end up with rusty rings and can reuse them. And I can safely leave this here. I'm going to put that on after it cools. It needs to really significantly cool. Mix it around a little just so it gets in between all the little slices. Another thing I'm looking forward to, there was a really, really good irresistible sale on TikTok, and I finally got myself one of those jar sealers, vacuum sealers that you just pop over the top. I broke the container I keep my rice in the other day, so I want to get a new one, and I want to start vacuum sealing that. Okay. First thing I'm going to do in preparation here is get my pan lined. So all I'm using for this is your standard loaf pan. I brought scissors, so I wanted to be persnickety and cut the corners and fold it nice and neat. I would, but no. I'm lining this with parchment paper. That's going to make it really easy to lift out. You could use foil. I don't know if I'd recommend it. It's fatty enough that you pretty much don't need anything like greasing the pan isn't really going to make any significant difference. You can do this by hand. I'm going to use my KitchenAid. When you're making your meat blend for Donair or gyro, something you're splicing the heck out of, you also want to blend the meat significantly. You want to work it. Like when you're making something like a hamburger, you don't want to overwork it, because it might get tough, because you're destroying all the interesting little fat pockets that make a burger juicy. When you're making a meatloaf, you want to use fresh bread or breadcrumbs and liquid to kind of and not overwork it so that you don't end up with something tough. People think they don't like meatloaf, and they've made these bricks of meat. A lot of that can be from overworking. In this instance, even though it's, technically a loaf of meat, normally it's slow cooked on a spit. A lot of times it's ground meat that's packed onto it and then done in a rotisserie and they slice it off. In some cases it's tiny thin slices of meat that are marinated and then piled in this giant pile, and it cooks together slowly in a rotisserie and they slice it off. This is a perfectly legitimate method. A lot of places for Euro or for Donair type products make it in a ground meat form and then cook it on a kebab or cook it on a spit. This gets 90 minutes at 350, and it cooks down to a nice little slab that you can let cool, and then you can slice it off and grill it if you want it a little more brown, but you can of course eat it that way. I'm going to go grab my meats. I have it right there in front of the fridge, but I didn't bring them over yet. Today I'm using a pound of ground beef and a pound of ground lamb. Both from Aldi. It looks fancy, grass fed and all this stuff, but man, I love Aldi. I could never afford so many things I'm addicted to, like goat cheese and stuff to have it in the house without Aldi. You can use all beef, you can use all lamb, you could use probably chicken or turkey. It would be really, really different. I've never done that. I'm not gonna recommend it. I would say it'd probably be fine to use something like ground turkey because turkey's a little gamier than chicken, with lamb, so you've got something to make up for a strong flavor to hold up to the spices. But I wouldn't do all chicken or turkey with this level of spice. You'd have to really significantly reduce it, and I have not done the experimentation to make a recommendation. I used to have a trash can over here for this, but it got moved. Okay, so in quarter meat is going many, many spices, a tablespoon of ground coriander, and there's a lot of Donair recipes on the internet. I looked through a lot of them, and this one is one of the few that has the coriander, and I find it really does stand out enough that I'm always going to use this spice blend. It's a significant difference. I can't imagine not having it after having it with the coriander in it. 2 tablespoons of onion powder. This one also has cayenne, a lot of them don't. We like our spicy. There's something in my onion powder. Crusty. Weird. 1. I said 2, right? Yep. I'm going to have to vacuum seal my onion powder. Okay. Coriander. A little bit more. Now I think garlic. Yep. 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. oregano. Oregano I'm using is oregano I grew. So it's gonna look like a bit more of a guesstimate because I'm gonna have to fresh crush it. There's one. I do dehydrate and then run it through like a mill or a coffee grinder that I use for herbs before putting it in a bottle, but I definitely want to give it a little bit more of a crush while I put it in. Yeah, I can totally see you have to modify the spices. This would be so strong, a spice blend with chicken. Tablespoon black pepper. I always use like butcher's grind, coarse grind. Sometimes it's hard to find. I don't know why. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so that's the blend I'm using. And lock this down because it's going to be heavy. And pardon the noise. That looks like it's not too terribly loud, right? I'm going to lift it up high. For a minute, and then slow it down. And get my spatula to make sure everything's coming up from the bottom. I do see some spices didn't. That's another thing I break recently. I have always had, since I was given my first KitchenAid by my mom's ex, a paddle that's got like a blade on it that scrapes the side of the bowl at the same time. And when I was baking with TVZ Gun's daughter at my friend's house, I went to get my paddle with the scraper, and the scraper parts are like flopping off, broken. They dry rotted somehow. So you make Donair yourself, or is it something like Euro that you make that you've done with your chicken? I'm curious. I'm gonna preheat my oven. I'm gonna turn that up a bit. That along is really well blended. Get the spices even throughout, which is normally a test for using your hands. But like I said, I do want the meat to work significantly, unlike with a hamburger or a meatloaf. And I've got the two different meats in there that I just threw the blocks in, being lazy. Can you see? You cannot see. That's okay. It's over here, so you see the meat is worked. It's almost like it looks like it's been shredded, right? That's what you're looking for. That'll give you what you need when you put it in your loaf. And I'm looking to make sure the spices are not clumped anywhere, because I didn't go very long. You know what, I'm going to give it another minute because it can't hurt. Euro. Yeah, that'd be probably a super similar modification. With the herb difference, you're still using oregano in that, right? And maybe marjoram? Okie dokie. I'm going to pack this down, try to get most of the air bubbles out ahead of time. get it into roughly the shape you want. You can do that with your bowl just by flipping it. You could do this on a sheet pan if you really wanted, just by making it into a loaf shape. I've seen that done. But I really, even though I didn't do the fancy squaring the corners because I'm in a hurry, like getting this into a shape where I can make really nice even slices when we're making our sandwiches. And we usually, you can use any kind of pan, but we usually throw the slices on a griddle to warm it up before serving, and it's 2 pounds of meat. So you get decent leftovers. I'm using the parchment paper to square up my sides a little. Oh, wish you could smell it. All the technology in the world, we need smell-o-vision. I'm going to fold this right up and let the paper do the work of making this into the shape of the pan. Like that. Oh, it's going to be good tonight. Okay. Now, maybe I should have set the oven to preheat a little sooner. However, now it gives this a little time, the meat a little time to hydrate the spices before you start cooking. I think this needs more garlic. Even though I put more than the recipe said, I also think it needs more vinegar. Let's see. 14 ounces. I'm going to say almost definitely. See, I used to get gyro from the West Side Market in Cleveland, and it was, I believe, all lamb. When I get it in restaurants, I usually get souvlaki. Like if I'm in a restaurant, I got a choice between gyro and souvlaki. I usually get souvlaki. So let me look at this maritime Donair recipe, because I have a suspicion that it's not going by yeah. That's way more than 2/3 of a cup. As a matter of fact, that's 8. It's like 1 2/3 a cup. So I need twice as much vinegar and garlic powder at least. I guess I should have used a bowl. I guess I'll fetch a bowl. See, I usually make the meat and Rob makes the sauce. It's on his skill level to whip up the sauce for it. Although he actually usually makes the pickled onions too, because he started making them for tacos. He started experimenting with making really fancy, like burrito style tacos, where he gets the dried peppers from our Compare Foods and he rehydrates them to marinate his meats, and he was pickling onions. He made basically a whole taco bar for a party we had one time, and now he does it occasionally. And so when I decided that pickled onions, I would like to try them on Donair, I set him to that task as well. But being that I'm streaming, so I don't know, this cooks longer than I normally like to have my streams go. Not sure what I want to do about it. now, in my opinion, way too thin. Suppose it'll set a little. Yeah, that tastes closer to right though. So I still have a little of the sweet condensed milk in here. So that should get us to the right thickness. And it's basically a dressing. We are a little crazy for our Donair sauce. This is way more than we use on the sandwiches. And we'll like use it for chip dip. Just eat it with chips. Hey, my oven's preheated. Put the meat in the oven. Okay, hour and 30. I'm excited. Oh yeah, that's right now. Do I have a taster? I'll use this to taste. I want some more garlic, but I'm going to wait patiently and give this at least a half an hour, because as that garlic hydrates, it's going to get really strong. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I will post the recipes, the recipes I'm using for the Donair and for the sauce in the recipe section of my Discord. I'll take some pictures when we're done. I'm not gonna sit here and wait for that meat to go for 90 minutes, because yes, I'll be able to show you a brown loaf, but it's gotta then rest before I slice it a little. I'm not gonna be one of these, I won't say never. I might change my mind in the future when I run out of things to do. But a streamer that goes all day long, I feel like we covered some pretty good basic stuff, and you can go get the recipe and try it yourself and have all the relevant information to go ahead and make Donair. I will post in the food pics the finished product of the meat and show how it looks sliced, and probably show a completed sandwich. What we're doing is, I just got some pita, some nice, big, just round pitas, and I like the softer ones for this particular sandwich. Then I do like a harder one when I do something like gyro, because I don't use it as a pocket. I just wrap the meat and the veggies and the sauce in the pita and eat it that way. So I'll share pictures of how all that goes, and of course my pickled onions as well, that I will definitely put on mine. And what else? So yeah, please go to my Discord. Send your friends to my Discord. You don't have to turn on notifications, although you might want to know if you win the giveaway. I think only 2 people have entered the giveaway, and this is a great opportunity, I think, I want to give back to you guys who've been supporting me, and maybe bring some people in and get some Christmas presents out for yourself or your friends. These are mostly brand new, some with tiniest bit of cover damage cookbooks of pretty much any kind you can imagine. I have so many interesting cookbooks to give away. So, pickled onions, maritime Donair sauce, classic Halifax Donair. Let me know how you like it. I haven't met anyone who doesn't yet. Even my ARFID kid likes this. He's been excited. As soon as if he sees me buying ground lamb, which I like for burgers too, but he's like, are you gonna make Donair? Are you gonna make Donair? So I hope you can find joy with it in your kitchen and maybe share something new with your family. All right. Well, talk to you soon. Good luck in the giveaway, and I look forward to cooking with you soon.